All right, well, good afternoon. It's great to see everyone. Obviously a very, very exciting day today for us, and really what today is, it's really a culmination of 1 to 2 years of hard work and dedication by many, many individuals within our football program. And I'd first like to start off by thanking our coaches of doing their diligence, working exceptionally hard, but also their wives being gone for as long as we are, and just really, really appreciative of them. I'd like to thank our players. We talk about recruiting. Our players were our greatest ambassadors that we had of our football program. When prospective student athletes came on campus, they sold the vision, they sold the excitement, the energy that we have here in Knoxville. Our recruiting operations department, led by Bob Weldon and Dana Morrison, were outstanding. And what can I say about our fan base? Our fan base, again, was instrumental in helping us attract a consensus top 5 recruiting class, and we really appreciate their excitement, their energy. And then what about today? Barry Rice, Link Hudson, Tom Githens, Trevor Green, that production today was outstanding, and I think that's another illustration of the vision and the things that we have going on here at Tennessee. And then lastly, I could sit up here and thank numerous people, but the Thornton Center staff, led by Dr. Joe Scoggin and Brian Russell, and all the giving of everyone's time on unofficial weekends, official visiting weekends, the many professors, administrators that were so willing and giving of their time to sell the University of Tennessee. So I'm very grateful for them. Everything for us starts with a recruiting profile, and we talk about that recruiting profile all the time. It's not by the rankings of 4-star, 5-star, 3-star. It starts with a recruiting profile, and it's broken into very, very many components, whether it's athletically related, position specifics, academics, socially, all the intangibles of what it takes to be successful. And we really wanted winners. We wanted individuals that played for state championships, that came from great high school programs. We really took that was a big part of the profile this year. And then also we talk about character, from overall character, and then the competitive character, as we've spoken about, is continue to improve the competitive component within our football program. We feel that obviously we were able to do that. And then you venture into the needs of your program. I don't think it's any secret. We needed to address some program issues in our offensive and defensive lines, and we were able to do that with signing 5 offensive linemen and 6 defensive linemen. So that'll add to the overall depth and competitive aspect at those positions. We secured home state. The top 3 prospects are attending the University of Tennessee, and that's where it starts, is securing home state. And then we were able to venture off in the 9 other states and put a recruiting footprint in some areas that we weren't able to get in the previous couple years, and then continue to grow the state of Georgia, the state of North Carolina, and a lot of the surrounding states. Relationships and trust are really the foundations of a successful recruiting class, and everyone in our program, I thought, did a great job of really establishing those relationships and trust, and not just with the prospective student athlete, but with the key stakeholders, whether it's mom, dad, aunts, uncles, the mentors. Just, again, everything is bonded on relationships in that family environment that we talk about. I understand with this class comes great expectations, and very rightfully so, but I'm going to sit here every year like I do on signing date and guard against that, in terms of these are still 17, 18-year-old individuals that still are going to develop at their own pace, and things don't get changed overnight. We're going through a process, but I thought today was a great step in the right direction. So I could sit up here and go through the packet with you and all that, but I really don't want to do that. I'd rather just answer your questions that you may have and go from there. So any questions?
Which do you, this profile you talked about, a couple of years later, do you go back and review it maybe just to see guys who didn't didn't turn out to meet that profile, good or bad, just to see how you might improve the process?
Absolutely. That's part of our quality control that will actually start tomorrow on the quality control of our recruiting profile. And now we have 2 classes that we can have evidence behind that recruiting profile. And you're always adapting and adjusting, but some of them are non-negotiable within the recruiting profile. But we're always looking at that as, why individuals develop more than others. Where did we go wrong in the evaluation part of it? So again, we're always constantly reviewing it, but there's also some in terms of character, competitive character, some position specifics that are always non-negotiable as well.
You played the most true freshman of anybody in the country last season. I mean, how much are y'all expecting these guys have to kind of contribute immediately with what you have and what you have coming in?
We'll still expect them to come in and contribute, and that's still one of the great selling points within our football program. We're still developing it, and still depth is an overall concern, especially in the offensive and defensive lines. But, across the board, we're still not where we need to be from a depth standpoint. So we want every individual in this recruiting class to have the mentality that they're coming in and they're competing for jobs right away. They're competing for playing time, and then we'll see how they develop. I think it's also a great benefit of having 10 mid-year enrollees as well. And so they're getting a jump start academically going through spring football. So we'll know a little bit more where those 10 individuals are as well at the conclusion of spring football.
Particularly on the defensive line, how important was it to get, I guess, not too many similar pieces? When you look at your class, you have Kyle, you have Daryl Taylor, you have a lot of different guys. Was that, I guess, something important early on that you got different pieces?
Yeah, it was. The thing that we've been missing from our defense is an overall edge presence in terms of depth and then size in front. And if you look at kind of the big bodies, so to speak, in this recruiting class, we wanted length. And length isn't always measured in just in height, but in wingspan. And so we wanted to make sure that we had that addressed, and obviously Kyle Phillips addresses that, Daryl Taylor addresses that, and then you look at our size inside with Shai Tuttle and, Khalil McKenzie, those 2 big defensive tackles, and then, you have the quickness from Quay that he'll bring inside. He'll be a great complement to those other 2 individuals I just spoke about. And then Andrew Butcher's an individual who plays with a motor and plays with a high energy about himself. So again, the 6 defensive linemen we brought in, they all complement each other, but they also have a little bit different of a skill set as well.
How big was it just to get through Richmond today, just to really kind of complete this class?
Well, I think you just said it. It completed the class. And again, we get back to improving our overall athleticism in the offensive front, and Drew obviously does that. He's a left tackle. He's very, very athletic. And when we watch film, one of the big things along with toughness is balance. And when you watch Drew Richmond on video, he was never on the ground. He could always recover. And so I'm excited because he's going to add to the offensive line in a great way to finish the recruiting class off, to stay in state, Memphis, and keep, the top 3 players in state at home was big for us. But he brings everything that we're looking for in an offensive lineman.
What did you know going into the day we were going to get him?
We did not. A lot of phone calls last night, a lot of conversations, and we knew we had a great opportunity, but he wanted to make me work right to the end, even prior to 10 minutes before he signed. He called me thanking me, and he said, "Will you still love me if I don't come to the University of Tennessee?" I told him love was conditional on some things, but we're really fortunate to have him and very excited about his future here.
Which one of your early enrollees back when they did interviews kind of said that when they were committed to school, you guys kind of backed off a little bit? Is that kind of your philosophy when other guys commit to other schools, or you guys kind of stay on those guys?
It's based on the circumstance. And, when Drew committed, we gave him his time, and then we went back. And again, you recruit to the end, but we try to give them their space, and if there's interest, then we continue to recruit. And I know a lot of coaches say, and we found this out with our guys, is the real recruiting process starts after they commit. And we gave him his space, but we also continued to recruit him. And Drew and I had a very unique relationship, one of the probably top 5 relationships I've ever had with with a prospective student athlete, and I think that helped down the end.
What was the deal with the bow tie in that?
I made a promise to him that if he would commit and sign to the University of Tennessee, he likes to wear bow ties, that I'd wear a bow tie when I announced him.
When was the last time you had worn one?
That is the first time I've ever worn a bow tie, and you could probably tell too.
Did you know how to tie it, or did you have to get some pointers?
That's why they sell the ones that are already tied for you.
Butch, have you found just from past experiences in terms of evaluating defensive linemen, is that position easier or more difficult to evaluate when you're projecting a college career?
Well, John, I think you're right in terms of projecting, and there's so much that goes into it from a growth standpoint, from a strength standpoint, but you look at the position specifics, you look at disruptive quickness, instincts in rushing the passer, the ability to win one-on-one matchups, use of your hands, quickness of your feet, all the athleticism that's associated with it, but it's a mental toughness game, just like every sport or every position on the football team. But, you know, when you play defensive line and offensive line, you know, I always say it's like a, you know, it's a fist fight in a phone booth on every single snap. Half our kids don't know what a phone booth is anymore, but, you know, and that's what it takes. It takes a lot of mental endurance, a lot of mental toughness. So that's really the greatest separator when you're trying to evaluate defensive linemen and how they grow and they develop. You look at Derek Barnett. Derek Barnett is one of the toughest-minded individuals I've ever been around in terms of his competitive component, his toughness, both physically and mentally, and that's what we're hoping that these individuals will have as well.
McKenzie specifically is rated as the #1 overall prospect by at least one service. Just what was it about him that kind of stands out and earned him that kind of ranking?
Well, I think with Khalil McKenzie, you have the complete package. You know, we talked about the recruiting profile. Again, it starts with character. He has tremendous character. Great, great, great family. I think I broke the record for the longest in-home visit. I believe we were in there for over 4 hours, and then had a great opportunity to spend a lot of time with his father, Reggie, at the Oakland Raiders for about 3 more hours at their facility. And he has a great, great family, so character is very, very high. The standard and the expectations are very, very high, and then you couple that, he's extremely competitive, and then you look at his stature. You know, right now I think he's about 370 pounds, and I told him he needs to get down a little bit, but he has great makeup. He's got great get-off the football. He uses his hands well. He's tough, and he has a passion for the University of Tennessee, and you could see that throughout this whole recruiting process.
How much did he help you recruiting-wise? How much did Khalil help you? I know he's active on social media.
Yeah, he's almost too active, so Khalil helped us immensely, and it was all his doing. You know, again, he took great pride in this recruiting class. He forged relationships with every single individual within this recruiting class. I believe they had a group chat, and you could feel that closeness, that bond. And then when he came on his official visit, you could see that he was the alpha male or the alpha dog. You could see that. Everybody followed him. Even some of our current players were following him, and that's just kind of the personality that he has, but he was instrumental.
Butch, you had a lot of legacy guys and natural in-state guys last year. Is there any element of assembling this class that's more gratifying or more rewarding when you North Carolina and California and spots in between?
With this class, we had to go coast to coast, and I think we've proven that Tennessee is a national brand. I think we've proven that we have the respect around the country of what we're building here at Tennessee. We still have a long ways to go, and we were in a lot of recruiting battles for these young men. But, you know, I'm very proud of last year's recruiting class, and I think this just adds a whole nother element to our current team. But again, we had to venture off in the states that being at Tennessee we hadn't, where maybe at previous stops we had ventured into those states. You know, you go in the state of Michigan and you get one of the top players out of the state of Michigan, and we get them out of some people's backyard. That's hard to do, and that's Robert Gillespie. And probably one of the most fearful things that I had in the recruiting process was I flew into Detroit, and they had one of their patented snowstorms today, and you got an individual from Mississippi driving you around that looks at me and says, "Coach, I've never driven in the snow like this before." So that was one of those recruiting stories. But, you know, to be able to get John Kelly, you know, get Sharon Jones out of California, you know, stay strong in the Atlanta area, in the state of Georgia, you know, go into Virginia. You know, those states are very, very big for us. And then obviously taking care of home as well. So it is very gratifying.
How has the growth and development of the talent here in Tennessee really affected your recruiting for the past couple seasons?
It continues to be elevated each and every year. And I said it when I stepped to the podium on December 7th a couple years ago. We have great high school football in the state of Tennessee, and we have great high school coaches in the state of Tennessee. And we're going to start first and foremost with taking care of home. And we are able to do that, and that's extremely gratifying. And then we venture off into our other areas as well. But everything we do at Tennessee starts first and foremost at home.
How different is today for you and your staff when you're not waiting on a lot of kids' decisions? You pretty much got the class done in advance.
That's the thing that makes me exceptionally proud about this class is they stayed true to their word, and they were extremely loyal. Now, is that to say that there was some uneasy times? Yes, there were some uneasy times, and some last night. And, you know, there's like a last push 24 hours before signing date, and anyone and everyone comes after everyone, and they try to put a nugget out there and see if a young man is interested, and if they think they are, it's an all-out assault on them. And so we had to continually talk and be in contact with them, but there was very, very little drama today, and I think that speaks volumes for their character. I think that speaks volumes for the unique closeness that this group already has.
How are you able to juggle signing 3 quarterbacks of the same age in the same class? It's usually a position where they don't want to join another quarterback the exact same class and get 3.
You're exactly right, and I've been asked that question a lot, and I'm very proud of the 3 individuals at the quarterback position because not one quarterback asked me about the other individual or who else we were recruiting. And to me, that's what we want. We want individuals with great competitive character that don't care. All they worry about is themselves, and they're going to have a tremendous opportunity. We have 1 quarterback on scholarship, so it was a tremendous selling point for these individuals. As we know, you're 1 snap away at the quarterback position or any position, but you know, they all wanted that opportunity. They understand the magnitude and relevance of playing quarterback at the University of Tennessee, and that's what I'm proud of them, is they never looked over their shoulder. They knew what they wanted, and they stayed true to form.
Did anybody raise concerns about you not having an offensive coordinator in place yet, and do you know when you might have one?
Yeah, not one person expressed concerns. All they told me was, "Coach, we trust you. Go get the best coach that fits us." I am closing in on an offensive coordinator. I would expect to have somebody in place hopefully by the end of the week.
How does the character of Preston Williams compare to other recruits you've gone after over the years?
Well, Preston is very confident and flamboyant at times, but I think that's what makes him the player that he is. He has great confidence, has a great skill set. He believes in his ability, and usually the great ones are wired that way. You know, they have a self-confidence about themselves and expectations to be the best that you can possibly be, and Preston expects to be the best every time he steps on the field.
Have you spoken with him much about his injuries? I know he's wanting to be back by August. It doesn't seem like that's medically possible, but what has he said to you about that?
He expects to be back, ready for the first game, and that's kind of who Preston is. He believes that, and I think Preston's capable of doing anything he puts his mind to.
Which, you know, your number 1 quarterback is, but with these young guys coming in, is this something in terms of naming a number 2 guy? Would you go through that process and wait till the very, like, right at the start of the season to do that?
Yeah, we'll see how they develop, and if one individual out of the 3 separates themselves, and if they're worthy of being named the number 2 quarterback, we'll be able to name them the number 2 quarterback. But, you know, I think, you know, having Quentin here and having Juwan here will benefit them for spring football. They'll get a ton of repetitions. And then Sharon is extremely bright, very, very intelligent, very confident. So it should make for a great August camp.
Which, how much did
what Nathan and his kind of process or decision process to leave was that weighing into bringing in a third quarterback?
Yeah, you know, Nate and I had a discussion right at the end of the season, and you know, very excited for him. And we told him we'd help him in that process. But I think anytime you can sell that you have one quarterback on scholarship, I think that's a very attractive spot for a number of individuals, and that's been evidenced through this recruiting process.
You've got some preferred walk-ons coming that passed on other D1 offers. How did you pull that off and get them to come here and pay their own way?
That's another element of building a football program. You can't just build a football program off of 85 scholarship players. Our walk-on program is critical. We saw, you know, what Alex Ellis has brought to the table in terms of a walk-on, now on scholarship, Devon Swafford. So the walk-on element is very big for us. And being able to attract a couple of these individuals to be able to walk on and turn down other scholarship offers was very, very big for us. And again, it was opportunity and relationships as well.
How important was your relationship with the Abernathy family, with Micah? And
Yeah.
Just, I guess, talk a little bit about the relationship with that family.
The Abernathy family is like family to me. And we've been through a lot together. Obviously, we recruited their older son at Cincinnati, and now to have Micah here. But, you know, this is a relationship that's been in place for a number of years. And obviously, they know what they're getting with us. They know our family. They know our entire coaching staff. So, again, they had zero unknowns with our coaching staff here at Tennessee. They know how we run our program. They know what to expect. And they wanted their son to be a part of it again, and looking forward to having Mike in our football program.
Anything else? Coach, do you have players either that were announced today or have not been announced with blue shirt, and can you kind of explain that process?
We may have some additions as the recruiting process continues to go. If they weren't announced today, I'm not able to comment on them, but I do fully anticipate adding some more players to the roster. We're always recruiting.
Is that something you've done before at other stops?
Yes, but you know, when you're trying to flip a roster, we've done a great job, and our compliance led by Matt Hibbs has really done a great job in really telling us how to do it, and to do it the right way, and be able to develop these players. So again, when you're trying to flip a roster and continue to get overall depth and competitiveness, anytime you can add to your roster is obviously very beneficial.
You had Kamara and you had Kelly to Jalen Hurd in the backfield, but still with the grind of the SEC, how much of a concern is the depth of running backs?
A big concern. You know, right now we only have 3 scholarship running backs. We may look to add to that position, but it is a concern when you play in a physical league like us, you know, like we do week in and week out. So that is a concern in moving forward.
Butcher, there's some guys on the roster that you might could move to running back if necessary.
Probably for some emergency situations. You know, Evan Berry's an individual that we experimented, you know, during bowl prep. So he's an individual. Malik Foreman has played running back before. So, you know, if we got to that point, I think when you run the quarterback like we started to at the end of the year, that kind of helps the overall running back position. But that is, you know, our profiles have 5 to 6 running backs on scholarship, and so we're below those numbers. And again, that's part of the thing of building the roster. When I tell you we're not there yet as a complete program, that's a great illustration of where we're at. We've worked extremely hard to get our numbers up in the offensive line. Now I believe we'll have 15 or 16 offensive linemen on scholarship, which is big for us. I believe we had 11 on scholarship when we came here, so we've really added to those numbers. We've added to the defensive line numbers. We're still behind a little bit in the linebacker position, and we're starting to get a little bit behind at the receiver position, but the running back position, we have to continue to increase our numbers there.
Coach, are there any players from this class that you don't expect for rehab or any other reason to be ready to participate in spring practice?
Well, Kyle Phillips will not go through spring practice. He had shoulder surgery, so he'll miss. And then Darren Kirkland tore his pec, so he'll miss spring practice as well. The rest of the individuals, I fully anticipate in this signing class going through spring football.
How about other returner guys? Is there anybody else you know that's not going to be around for spring practice?
I'm trying to think here. Jalen Hurd had shoulder surgery, but he'll be back. It's just a scope, so he should be back participating in spring football. As of right now, that's all I can think of. Obviously, I can update you. If you have anybody you want to ask me, I can tell you.
Or I guess I should ask Vic Wharton and Ryan Jenkins. Are those guys still in the program at this point?
Right now, they've asked to explore other options, so we have granted them the opportunity to explore other options. We'll see how that goes. So we'll see where that goes with those two individuals. Michael Sawyers has been dismissed from our football team for violations of athletic and team policies, so he is dismissed and no longer a member of our football team.
But you have 4 guys have been committed since 2013. That's a long time to make it till now. Just how can you speak about the recruiting calendar and how things are getting more and more sped up every year?
Everything's accelerated in everything with the recruiting process. And, you know, right now everyone's recruiting 2016, 2017. And so it's a long process. It's a very tedious process with junior days, and then you go into the spring recruiting, and then you go into the summer months. And it's critical that you get these prospective student athletes on campus and you start building relationships with them. And you can learn so much more about them when you get them on your campus. That's really where your relationships really start to build, start to manifest themselves. And so our coaches did a great job of really getting this recruiting class to campus, and not just 1 or 2 times, but on multiple occasions. And that really helps grow the relationships. But you're exactly right. It's non-stop. It's ever evolving each and every day, and it does become more and more accelerated.
How tough it is, he thinks, for those kids to commit to you without having seen a game at Neyland Stadium, taking an official visit, and they're committing, like I said, over a year in advance, or maybe after an orange carpet day or something like that?
Well, it starts with relationships. I think everyone knows we have the best game day atmosphere in the country. And so if they can come witness that I think just helps solidify things more and more. But, you know, again, with Barry Rice and Lake Hudson and everyone involved, we do a great job. If they can't be there personally, we can show them through videos and the things on YouTube. So that's been a great, great point for us as well, a great resource. But, you know, just when a young man recruits, you know, it really starts now. So again, continuing to build the relationships. And again, I can't say enough about the relationships. That's what it starts first and foremost.
Is there a number one factor in recruiting that's most prominent than anything else?
For us, character. We spend an inordinate amount of time on character. And, you know, to Danny's question, when he talks about the recruiting calendar being accelerated, that's one of the things is we can never compromise our evaluation. And the way I look at it is we're also inviting these individuals into our football program. So it's a two-way street. And they're looking to pick us, but we're also inviting them into our football program. So there's a lot that goes into it. And when you can get individuals on campus, you're able to evaluate that a little bit more. You're able to really dive in and ask pertinent questions. So every moment you get is critical, because for me, as the head coach, I'm not allowed to go out during the spring. So my contact with them is very, very limited. I only get one in-person contact during the contact period, and that's usually a home visit. So when I go in, you're trying to couple going into high school, meeting all the teachers, the professors, the high school coaches, and also going into the home and meeting, you know, the aunts, the uncles, mom, dad, everyone associated with the raising of the young man. So there's a lot that goes into it. So, you know, the thing that we're never going to compromise on is the overall character of the young man, and really finding out how competitive they are. to me, that's what really separates individuals. You know, do they want to stay the course? Do they want to work hard, or do they want to find the easy way out? You know, I've heard too much, coach, it's too hard. Well, to be a champion, it's hard. You know, life is hard. You know, how do they handle adversity? How do they persevere? You know, and also the parents. We had a specialist come in and talk about the raising of kids nowadays. And they talked about, you know, you get some parents that, you know, are busy preparing the path for the kid instead of the kid for the path. And that's something that I try to raise our kids with. And so those are all the recruiting dynamics, the elements that we look into when we're evaluating a young man. There's a lot that goes into it, and it's more than just football. Obviously, football is a big part of it, but there's a lot more to it in our football program.
Butch, in your first recruiting class, you first came here, you didn't have anywhere near this kind of exposure. Today, you're all over ESPNU. Tony's here. How much difference does that make when you look ahead to the next class?
It's critical. Anytime that we can gain the national exposure that we've been able to gain here in the last 2 years speaks volumes, because, you know, you have, you know, 2016 recruits calling in. And so the more times you're on national television, the more times they see Tennessee. I think that's evidence of what we're building here and what we have here, and the positive energy, the positive momentum that we have. And our coaches and everyone in our football program has worked exceptionally hard to make this a reality. So I think it's a big benefit. Anytime they can see Tennessee on a national stage and have 2 consensus top 5 recruiting classes is very big. But now that switches to us about the individual growth and development of every single player. And that's now the next step in our program, is developing these young men to meet their fullest potential and be the best that they can possibly be, because they are part of Tennessee football.
The kids don't often care where they live, but with the new dormitory going up next to your facility, how much of that resonate with parents and help sell in Tennessee?
Well, being able to see a structure being built was great. You can show renderings and drawings, but when they can actually physically see the structure going up is a great benefit. But we also have Vol Hall, which is a tremendous asset for us in recruiting. It's one of the best dormitories in the country. So again, they're able to see Vol Hall, and then they see the vision that's going on here at Tennessee with the new dormitory complex, with the Ray and Lucy Hand Digital Studio, you know, all those things that go into developing a player to meet their fullest potential. We're able to show them now. Living arrangements, Smokies, all that are critical in their development as well. One of the biggest things, and it may sound crazy, but, you know, when these players, especially these 10 newcomers, come to campus, one of the most important aspects are their roommates. Their roommates are critical. So all those little elements go into developing every individual.
You talked about just living arrangements. Was there any discussion this kind of cycle with the kind of cost of attendance proposals and stuff like that? Was it an issue at all this time? Do you expect it to be a bigger issue with recruiting going down the road?
Well, I do expect it to be a more of a base question, more broad type questions. We were able to discuss it a little bit towards the tail end of recruiting, not really at the beginning of recruiting, but once the rule passed and more talk became of it, and it became more widespread in terms of conversations and questions, so we were able to talk about that. And I see moving forward, that'll be probably one of the biggest questions asked in moving forward through the next year's recruiting cycle. But I think the overall heightened awareness of that, because of what happened the last couple weeks, we started to have more and more questions regarding that.
Thanks, everyone.
All right.